When your children don't respect you anymore, do this to change everything. In the quiet hours of parenting, when the laughter that once filled your home has faded to silence, and the closeness you nurtured feels impossibly distant, you may find yourself wrestling with sorrow that words alone cannot capture. It is a grief made all the more bitter for being silent, a longing for the connection you once had, and a sense of loss where warmth used to be. Every parent walks this path sooner or later. Perhaps you remember the small hands that once reached for yours, now folded in defiance or tucked stubbornly into crossed arms. The doors that once gave way to cheerful greetings, now firmly closed with the declaration of independence. In these moments, the natural question arises, echoing in the chambers of your heart: where did I go wrong? But pause here. Let the silence keep you company long enough for a gentle truth to emerge. This ache you feel is not a measure of defeat, nor is it a testament to your flaws. More often, it is the shadow cast by expectations, some spoken, most unspoken, that every parent weaves with love, hope, and worry. Over the years, we craft images in our minds of how our children ought to respond to our sacrifices, our lessons, and our guidance. We imagine words of gratitude, gestures of affection, and expressions of respect that would make the years worthwhile. So when reality diverges, and we are met with indifference, rebellion, or even contempt, the dissonance stings like betrayal, and the pain is genuine. But pain, as all wise teachers say, can be a messenger. It reminds you that you are deeply invested, perhaps too much so, in outcomes you cannot control. It asks not where you went wrong, but where you might go from here. Begin by understanding that the erosion of respect, while painful, does not define your worth, nor the entirety of your relationship with your child. The season may feel cold and the ground hard underfoot, but renewal is possible, and it begins, as all deep changes do, not with force, but with quiet strength. The first principle to embrace is the art of boundary setting, done not with ultimatums or anger, but with calm certainty. If your child uses a disrespectful tone, interrupts or belittles you, resist the urge to match their volume or fire. Instead, say less. Withdraw from the emotional skirmish. Make it clear by your actions and demeanor that you will not engage in conversation or connection when it is laced with contempt. This is not silent treatment, but dignified withdrawal, a signal that your self-respect remains intact, regardless of how others behave. In doing so, you teach a silent lesson. Respect is not demanded, but expected, and dignity is never up for negotiation. As you set these gentle yet firm boundaries, notice the change within yourself. The desperate need for approval or acknowledgement, while understandable, begins to loosen its hold. In the quiet you create, you rediscover someone you may have set aside, yourself. This is where the second path opens, a return to your own life, interests, and passions. Parenthood, in its all-consuming generosity, often asks us to set aside our own needs, goals, and joys for those of our children. We give so much that over time we begin to forget what once brought us alive. Now, in this season of distance, reclaim these lost parts of yourself. Pick up the paintbrush, the musical instrument, the pen, plant the garden, join the club, learn a new skill, or reconnect with friends. These choices are not acts of selfishness, but of restoration. You are showing your child, by example, not demand, that your value extends beyond your usefulness to them. You become, once again, a full person, not just a parent on standby. And often, When children notice that their parent possesses a vibrant life, wonder and respect are reignited where complacency has settled. You may worry that these acts signal withdrawal of love to your child, but in truth, you are showing, not just telling, the importance of honoring oneself. Children, even when grown, are keen observers. Your renewed spirit and dignity will not go unnoticed. You will model resilience, autonomy, and self-care, lessons they will need throughout their own lives. The third and most profound step is learning to forgive, without erasing the memory of pain. Forgiveness is not amnesia, nor is it an invitation for further disrespect. Rather, it is the conscious release of resentment, a freeing of your own spirit from the binds of bitterness. You may never receive the apology you desire. You may never hear words that heal the wounds completely. But by choosing to release your child from the heavy burden of your expectations, by accepting them in their imperfection as you wish to be accepted, you allow space for truth and reconciliation to grow. Forgiveness liberates both you and them. It turns the page from silent suffering to quiet strength. Grieve what was lost, honor what still is, and dare to hope for what might yet be. True respect is not demanded at the barrel of anger, nor is it wrung from guilt or sacrifice. It is earned over time by presence, integrity, and the refusal to let bitterness define you. As you reclaim the fullness of your own life, your quiet dignity becomes a beacon, not only to your child, but to yourself. You will find that as you nurse your wounds with self-care, patience, and forgiveness, you begin to heal. And slowly, the distance between you and your child may close. One gesture, one conversation, one soft rekindling at a time. If you're living through the heartache of disrespect, know this: you are not alone, and you are not lost. Your worth is not diminished by the temporary blindness of someone you love. Let the silence teach you, and let your next steps be marked by dignity, self-respect, and courage. In time, you might find respect rekindled, rooted not in fear or fealty, but in genuine admiration for the resilience and wisdom you now embody. Forgiveness, in its essence, is not a gift you give to others. It is a gift you give yourself. Bitterness, left unchecked, is like a slow-growing vine, wrapping around your heart, building walls you never intended, and closing you off from both healing and happiness. Forgiveness, by contrast, is a bridge. It is not an erasure of the past, nor an approval of the pain inflicted upon you. Instead, it is a conscious act, acknowledging the wound, feeling its weight, and then making the decision not to let it define you any longer. By choosing forgiveness, you are freeing yourself from the cycle of resentment. You are choosing peace for your own soul. The fourth and perhaps most subtle key to rebuilding respect in your relationship is to become the quiet example, the role model they never knew they needed. Disrespect from children seldom emerges from nowhere. Often, it comes from their own struggles, a world of uncertainty, pressure to fit in, a culture that rewards challenge and mocks tradition. But when you stand as an anchor in this storm, responding to thoughtlessness not with anger, but with unwavering calm and wisdom, you are planting seeds, kindness when met with rejection, steadiness in the face of chaos, values even when others have abandoned them. These are the unnoticed gifts you give your children. They may not recognize them today. They may even ignore or deride them. Yet, as time passes, these seeds grow quietly in the soil of memory. One day, in a moment of regret or humility, these lessons will take root, and gratitude will bloom. Your example won't go unheeded. They might not thank you now, but when they face their hardest hours, your voice, your grace, will guide them home. The fifth principle is both difficult and vital. Allow your children to experience the consequences of their actions. Protecting them from every hardship, cleaning up every mess, emotionally, financially, or practically, only teaches them to disrespect not just you, but the realities of life itself. Sometimes the most loving action is to step back. If your child lashes out in disrespect and then asks for help, it's okay to say no. If they ignore your advice and stumble, resist the urge to say, "I told you so," but also resist rescuing them. Let their choices teach them. Reality is a far more effective teacher than words could ever be. Sometimes letting them fall is the kindest act. Tough love, though painful in the moment, forges growth and understanding in the long term. Perhaps the most tender step of all is to rediscover and nurture love for yourself, apart from your identity as a parent. In raising children, it's easy to forget you were once a whole, complex individual with dreams and worth independent of anyone else. Remind yourself of this truth. Speak to yourself as you wish your child would, affirming your own strength, wisdom, and value. As you do, you'll notice a shift, subtle but profound. Others can feel when someone knows their own worth. Your children might bristle at this new confidence at first, but over time, it will draw them back to you. Respect is deeply magnetic, so what do you do when your children do not respect you? You rise, not in anger, but in purpose, not to regain their approval, but to reclaim yourself. You become the example not just of dignity, but of resilience. In time, your torch, your living example, will cast a light that leads them home. One day, when they face the same trials you did, they will remember your grace, your strength, and your peace, and they will understand. This is not about demanding respect, but about embodying it so completely that it finds its way home. You are not powerless. You are not alone. You are at the start of a new chapter, written with your own peace. And in this strength, respect, quietly and assuredly returns.